Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser. Hi, I'm Huell Hauser. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Huell Hauser. Hi, I'm Huell Hauser. Wait a minute. There's a helicopter coming here. Wait a minute. Oh, get out of here. Wow. Look. What is that? Let's get it out of here. Look at this. I thought what was my feet. Look at this. Oh, my God. And there they are, Louie, up there. That is an amazing sight to see as we continue our search for California's gold.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to HUELL'S GOLD, episode 69.
69.
I'm Chris.
I'm Alan.
And here we go. Another late show.
Yeah, but it's good reason for it.
Yeah.
You thought you had something and it got canceled.
Yeah, I guess real talk. It was my last day of student teaching for my credential, and my co-teacher, who I worked with every day for 3 months, was like, "Hey, let's go get a drink after school." And as you know, if you listen to the show, I don't really drink, but it was one of those situations where, like, this seems like one of these I gotta do it things.
Yeah,
he's an older guy. He's helped me out. I gotta go sip on a beer for an hour with this guy.
Turns hot.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I finished my credential program.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, now
how do you feel?
Anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It was it's such
like
a huge climb, and then it was such a slow, boring drop. It was a horrible roller coaster. But whatever, it's done. Now you just get me a job.
I know. Well, you did it.
Yeah.
Check it off the list.
All done. Speaking of checking it off the list, this is something we can never check off our list. The Firefall.
Someone made that decision for us.
True. Before we were born. This is a big episode. Like, I think anyway, because this is such a iconic thing, and it's the first time Huell goes to Yosemite.
That's true, huh? Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Not the last. He goes like 40 more times, but
it's the first time he sobs.
Yeah.
In Yosemite, right?
Yeah. Again, probably not the last. Just first initial thoughts on this concept, because, well, let me set the stage first before I answer. Nowadays, we hear of Firefall in Yosemite, and we think of the natural firefall that happens once a year that we'll get into later. But this was actually fire
falling,
being pushed down a cliff, or like the edge of the valley, and every day, like they would do this every day in the summer, just shove fire down the cliff.
Yeah.
What's your initial thoughts on this?
I love it.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I mean, in hindsight, it seems like such a crazy thing to do, and so dangerous.
Yeah. No doubt. But it's sort of one of the quirky things that kind of makes... you probably hear of it elsewhere. I'm sure people do this. Stuff like this. But it's super Californian to me.
True. Yeah.
It's just kind of, a little
It's like
offbeat.
Burning Man before. Burning Man, I guess. One thing they never get into, which we needed to jump into this in a second, but one thing they never do talk about is where does the fire eventually fall?
It's true, huh?
Yeah.
Do you know?
No. They don't say it. There's not really... I couldn't find much as far as, like, the mechanics of how they did it beyond just this episode. So...
maybe we can ask Nick.
You want to get... Okay, let's get this started, and then we'll talk about who Nick is, yeah?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
You know, it's hard to describe Yosemite in words. Everything about it is so spectacular and on such a grand scale. Driving into the park and then along the valley floor, the great granite domes and peaks tower over you and leave you in awe. Now, this was California's first state park. Of course, now it's a national park and a national treasure. We were there in search of a chapter out of Yosemite's past, a part of Yosemite's rich history. It was called the Firefall, and for almost 100 years, from 1872 to 1969, millions of people witnessed it. In fact, many people came to Yosemite just for the Firefall. Every night during the summer months at exactly 9 o'clock, this event took place, lighting up the sky. It literally took on a life of its own over the years. It became its own living legend. And now, over 25 years after the last firefall took place, it was time for us to return to the site of the firefall. Whoa! Going up here, all the way up. Now, getting there was an adventure in itself. To be honest with you, we could have driven, but who wants to drive when you can go by mule? Our journey started at the base of Sentinel Rock and took us on a narrow, rocky trail that had been cut out of the side of the mountain with picks and shovels back in the 1800s. It's 4.8 miles long, and in that distance we gained 3,200 feet in elevation, and along the way saw some spectacular scenery. Lots of switchbacks and very narrow sections. I shot this film myself with my high-8 camera to show just how rocky and narrow and exciting this trail was. Our destination, Glacier Point, over 7,200 feet in elevation, and a place where you get a breathtaking view of Yosemite High Country, which of course is dominated by a half dome. This was also the site of the world-famous Glacier Point Hotel, a Yosemite landmark until it burned down in 1969.
Okay, so a lot was said in that clip. It was a long clip, and I just wanted the whole thing because, first off, it's got the Huel Mule Cam.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. So, 1872 to 1979, almost 100 years of daily summer firefalls.
69.
69. I wrote it down wrong. Okay, so
69th episode. Look at that.
Ooh, baby. So obviously, this went off fairly without a hitch for like 100 years.
Yeah.
Because my main thing is, how they not burn Yosemite to the ground doing this every day? That was my main gripe about it. Like,
yeah,
this is a national forest. It's a huge box of wood, basically. How did they do it?
Right.
I mean, I get how they did it because we're going to get into that, but like, how did they do it safely? And from my research, I couldn't really find much of anything. Did you find any
How
more?
they did it safely?
Mm-hmm.
No idea. I mean,
Yeah.
you're right, though, because they've definitely figured out a way to do it safely.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get by 100 years doing something,
Yeah,
that
exactly.
that ain't bad.
So, the opening of the show, which is like basically everything you heard in that clip, involves them like driving into the park, which is a pretty, like, anyone who goes into Yosemite pretty much has gone in this same way. There's only one way in or out of Yosemite Valley.
Dude, I got to tell you something.
What do you got?
I've never been to Yosemite.
I was going to ask, and I kind of already knew the answer, but
Because we always just went, Kings. Kings is pretty nice.
okay.
Which it is,
Yeah.
but I get it. It doesn't rival Yosemite.
And really, that's how I always felt about it. I've been twice in my life, only twice. Once when I was about 8 years old, and then again, like 11 months ago. Like, there was a big swath of time in there where I hadn't gone. But I think the main thing that got me to want to go again as an adult was Ken Burns' National Parks documentary series, because that fool knows how to make something seem majestic. And I mean, Yosemite already is, but he did a killer job. Now, do you want to go?
I do, yeah. It just, I don't know how to say this.
Oh, Lord. What are you going to say?
You know when people tell you, look at that, it's beautiful.
Uh-huh.
I don't feel it when someone tells me to. So I have to, it would have to be a time, I'll get to the point here, that it isn't a crazy amount of traffic. You know, the cost to experiencing Yosemite has to be fairly low.
Okay.
And it hasn't been the case because when we decided to go in the summer, right, it's crazy. So I do want to go, though. I really do.
All right.
But I'll just say that because we went to visit some friends up north in the northwest. Look at these trees. Look how beautiful it is. It's like, okay. I don't know if it's just me. It probably is just me because Kathleen really enjoys nature landscapes.
Yeah. Well, because Yosemite's pretty unique in how it is, and like the size of things really is impressive.
Yeah.
So once you're down in the valley floor, like, because, driving in, it's still like great forest, California, granite mountain, Sierra landscape. But once you're down in there, you're just like, okay, this is
maybe
no
it's
joke.
a kind of like radical ignorance where I don't know what I don't know about it.
Yeah.
So show me some stuff.
Okay. So I definitely need to do a redo trip because that last trip I went on like 11 months ago was trash.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Here's why. If I'm sure anyone listening to this lives in California, I don't know why he would be otherwise. The big old fires that were happening last year, and there was the big one. I forget. They all had names.
Oh, the PG&E fire?
Yeah. No, this wasn't the one that burned down that whole town, I don't think. This was the other one that was down.
Oh, yeah, here, let me look it up. So we
Okay,
can be
here we go.
precise about it.
This is amazing.
It's the Fergie fire.
Ferguson fire, that's it. So that was going on, like totally going on while I was there. And so we drove in from the eastern side of the Sierras up and around in through the west gate over there. Mm. And on that drive back and around, like over Tioga Pass and everything, there's a point where you just hit the wall of smoke. And it seemed like maybe we should turn back. But we didn't. And we went in, and as soon as you go in, you realize this is going to suck. Because the valley is, kind of like a big wind funnel, and all the smoke had just blown right in there. And so this place that has like perfect air and this great landscape, and you're seeing the granite cliffs around you in this gigantic valley, couldn't even see them. Like we went up near Yosemite Falls, couldn't even see the rock face that was like 300 feet in front of us. And the whole time we're just like, just wheezing from this smoke air. And Aaron's first time was complete bust. Totally.
I was going to say, it's like going to Disneyland and all the rides are closed.
Exactly, yeah. And I had built this thing up because this was like kind of the crown jewel of our of our trip. And yeah, not so good.
Let's make a trip then.
All right. It is possible from where we are to do that in a day. I mean, you're not going to be doing everything that Yosemite has to offer, but you can still like leave early, get there, kind of have a few hours to hang out in the valley, and then have time to drive home and get the gist of it. Because I don't know. I've known you for a while. I've never known you to go on a hike.
A hike? Yeah.
Yeah?
Not voluntarily, but I went
there.
I mean, it is voluntarily, but I went with Kathleen. She's definitely the initiator, but I don't mind hikes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, it seemed like Huel went at the perfect time, don't you think? Because the weather looked good. I mean, he's wearing a short sleeve shirt while he's on.
That's an
Millie the Mule.
I think you'd be more precise about that.
What?
He is testing the tensile strength
of the sleeves of
the
his
sleeves
polo.
of his shirt.
Yeah, because at about 2 minutes 40 seconds, which is in the clip part that we played before, because it's the part where he talks about having his own video camera. Boy,
dude,
the elastic is done in this. So what did they call? Oh gosh, we're not even giving this justice. Like, there's Louis with the camera as usual, like our main view, but then there's that Huel cam. What did he call it?
He calls it a Huel cam. He does call it that, but he calls it the Huel's Mule cam. And mule is M-U-E-L-L.
Is it really spelled like that?
I want it to be. No,
It should have been.
just one L.
Yeah, I have always heard about these mule trail things that you can do in Yosemite. Same as kind of like
Such a shaky.
it's at about 3 minutes and 27 seconds, and like, what's the point of this? I don't get it. It's like such shaky footage, and there's only 10 seconds of it.
Maybe intended on something else, but it was just real bad.
I mean, later on, he would do more stuff like that. I forget what. There's another episode coming, like 10 down the road.
Did your mom have a camera like this?
Totally, yeah. Oh, I got
Just
a sad story.
Oh, okay.
So we had a video camera that we videotaped a couple years worth of stuff, and then we bought one of those like super duper long play VHSs and put everything on it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I took it over to a friend's house.
Dude, come on.
It's gone, dude.
Well, I have a happier story.
Okay.
The only thing, well, I remember a lot just sitting with the red and white AV cables hooked up to the TV for so long with the battery. It had to be constantly on a battery because it would always die.
Yeah.
But I remember we converted one of the 8mm tapes, put it on VHS, and sent it to Bob Saget for America's Funniest Home Videos.
What was it?
It was me and kindergarten, and we were doing like a performance. Like, no, was it? Might have been preschool. Anyway, we were doing a vocal performance. I was super small, and I had a mullet. My mom called it a shag. Dude, she was okay. And I would open my hands and hit the kids like in the face next to me. I just didn't care, and it was actually pretty funny. And never got a response from.
Did you ever get the video back?
No.
So you don't have that video?
I think we probably have the tape.
Okay.
From my parents' house, we took all those. Yeah. So, but not the VHS.
Well,
Put a lot of work into that.
I know.
Come on, Bob.
Well, Huel didn't put a lot of work into his video camera debut of the show, but Louis is. You can tell he's just like in his element, getting to show all this kind of footage that wouldn't have gotten you to go, I guess.
That's true.
Well, it hasn't so far.
Yeah. So we start at Sentinel Canyon.
That's how it goes up.
And then we end up at Glacier Point, 7,200 feet elevation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a place I wanted to go on our trip, but it was where all the firefighters were like camping out. So it was closed when I went. So couldn't go up here. I wanted to go because I knew Huel and Nick and what's the other guy's name? Dick. Nick and Dick. Had hung out up there. So set the stage. Like,
is it DIC or is it NIC? Like Nick's is NIC?
Yeah, NIC, and then Dick is DICK.
It's DIC. I like that better.
That's. Do you remember that kids show production company called Deke?
Mm-mm.
It's like a cartoon. They would make cartoons, and they would always say that at the end of the show. They did like Captain Planet is the one I remember. I think.
Ah, that's the okay.
Yeah.
They're like it zooms in through a bedroom window and says Deke.
Yeah,
That's right. Okay, yeah, Captain Planet.
no, but Dick Ewert's name is not spelled that way. We're on so many offshoots today, but Nick Fiore's name is kind of spelled like that, and he, along with Huel and Dick, are up top of Glacier Point talking about the old hotel that was there. Did you find anything on old Nicky boy? Let me describe him first.
Okay.
Safari shorts, white polo brand polo shirt.
Well, can I add
Bright purple hat.
Can I put someone people might recognize, and then you describe his clothes?
Okay.
Christoph Waltz in these clothes that you're describing.
Who's that though?
What, bro? You know he was in Inglourious Bastards.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He's the Austrian guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. To me, this is like a petite.
And with a tan, like him with a tan and a purple hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I totally get it now. I just didn't know that guy by name, but so yeah, like I said, the safari shorts, the white polo, the purple hat, and the biggest fanny pack of all time.
Yeah.
Over the fanny
Over the
as
fanny.
it should.
Yes,
be.
yes.
So this guy is great. He was the manager of the hotel, the Glacier Point Hotel, which was this grand thing that burned down. You know, you think after something burned down, they'd stop doing the firefall, but no, it burned down before the firefall ended, right?
Right. Yeah, he, so let's just start with bad news. Get this out of the way.
Always. We need to get into later episodes where people are still alive.
I know, it's sad. Especially because you like him so much.
Mm-hmm.
Super not with us.
When did it happen?
He passed at, let's see, in 2009 at 88 years old, though.
10 years ago.
You can't
Okay,
be
he had
mad at that.
a
Yeah, he was a ski instructor at Badger Resort
okay.
in Yosemite. Let's see. Apparently, he was there for a little over 50 years. So, and he's Canadian. He's from Canada.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So beyond just being the manager of the hotel, he was the fire starter.
Dude, he was prodigy.
Second prodigy. Oh man. So yeah, he was literally the fire starter and the fire pusher. Did it say what he passed away of in that thing?
I don't think it did.
Because
This is an LA Times article, by the way. So
okay. The only reason I ask is because he's coughing the whole interview.
Oh.
Like every word, he would just be kind of talking, throw one in there.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, there's two things that I wondered. Was he always coughing because he was dealing with the smoke of the firefall for 50 years? Or,
crazy, yeah.
or is his throat just shredded from all that yelling down into the valley that they're going to do in a minute? Because this is such a weird thing, like when you really break it down.
Yeah, it is. No, and it doesn't say. He just said he had health problems that caused him to miss the opening of the Badger Pass Ski Resort's 70th season in December 2004.
Oh well. So, R.I.P. Nick. He does most of the talking until Ranger Dick Ewert like pushes his way in because he has that example bark that he just shows up with.
Oh yeah.
Because that's what they would use to do the firefall is like all this cedar bark that they would have like 10 wheelbarrows full every day. Where there's a lot of trees there, but
Yeah, I know.
that's a heck of a lot of bark. At about 9:35, he does his yelling demonstration, which beyond just throwing hot coals down the cliff, being able to yell so loud down like the 1.5 miles that it takes to get to the bottom of the valley, and then some fool yelling back up. This is so weird. I'm kind of selling myself on it now. Because you're already sold, right?
Oh yeah, I love it. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's see. What else do we got here?
Okay, so
So he gives us. Okay, there's a few things. First, he gives us the timeline.
oh yeah.
So they start all of this around 4 a.m. before anyone's out and about.
Yeah.
Right. So they start preparing, and it's lit around 7 p.m. And you push the hot coals off at around 9 p.m. So those
exactly 9 p.m. according to Huel.
Exactly. Okay. Them things are toasty. For 2 hours, they're getting nice and hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then a flashlight signal was how they initially would start, right?
Because they would do the flashlight, say like, "Hey, yo, I'm ready. Let's start yelling," and then they would be yelling down into Camp Curry, which is the best viewpoint for this fall.
Which, okay, I'm sorry, this is my ignorance for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he kept saying Cam Curry, like Cam Curry, and then Cam Curry was the guy he was yelling to.
Like Steph Curry's great uncle. Or
I just
something?
think it's probably like Cam Winston from Frasier. I don't know. It's just stuck in my head.
No, man.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
know.
Campground. That makes it sound like you're so ignorant to camping that you wouldn't know that it's a campground. But no, yeah, Cam Winston is the real issue. A rare Frasier,
But with a K, not a
character.
C.
Yeah. So, really, okay. I don't know if you caught this. I'm not seeing it on your notes, but at 11 minutes and 1 second, there is an incident that
What's
now
this?
that I am, a credentialed teacher, like not employed yet, I would have to report this to CPS.
Okay.
I'm going to play it. Obviously, you haven't seen it.
No. I didn't.
Okay. So just watch behind Nick. So there's a kid with a purple backpack, and then... Oh, no. SWAT.
Dang. That was like the undercarriage, too. You got swatted.
So this kid just without thought just starts climbing over the railing. And on the other side of the railing is 2,000-foot cliff. And Grandma comes in for the save.
Dude, southpaw slapper right there.
Swats that kid in the booty.
Left-handed?
Whapa! So hard. And then a second later, she's raising her hand saying, I saw the fire fall. Where's that kid? Did he fall over?
Oh, he's gone. What if it wasn't her kid?
Oh,
That'd be
even better. Just a random grandma swatting. Oh, man. So, yeah. that was...
I totally meant that was the gym.
That was the highlight of that part.
That's nice.
But then Huel goes into asking people if they saw the firefall, what it was like. Tommy Lasorda is there. Doesn't this guy look like Tommy Lasorda?
Like the sleepy version, yeah.
Yeah. And there's
Which, by
some...
the way, so this is a guy in the gray shirt with he has a t-shirt pocket tee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when Huel, just notice how fast his hand is raised to shake Nick's hand. I could be making more of this than it actually is, but Huel's going to go and talk to Nick.
Well, because he does the whole thing.
Yeah, because we're watching... Okay, a little secret here. We're watching the video because we've seen this a few times.
Uh-huh.
We watched this on a little bit faster than single speed.
One and a quarter speed.
So yeah, there's a point where you just see... I took a screenshot. You just have a hand in the frame. He's ready to shake Nick's hand.
Because Huel made it out oh, Nick, he's a celebrity. He's the one who did the firefall and the fire call and all that stuff. Which, yeah, it's kind of... He seems more famous for that fanny pack to me these days. But
yeah.
Either way, that kind of wraps it up at the top, right?
Well, we get that lady...
Which lady?
We don't get a name. That she actually gives us... Okay, because back a little further. Nick tells us that there's a few call-outs.
Mm-hmm.
He says, hello, Glacier, right? They signal.
Oh, this is when they break it down.
It's the flashlight signal.
Yeah, I thought they broke it down the next thing.
Hello, Glacier. Hello, Cam Curry. Let the fire fall. The fire is falling.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this justice because everyone's screaming, saying it. But the lady Huel gets the lady to give, the fire is falling. And then, let the fire fall. And
yeah.
The fires. And then Nick comes back at 90%.
Yeah.
It screams out. He just, yeah.
Well, I would say, that may be his 90%, but it's definitely not our next dude's 90%.
No.
Okay. Let's get to that, because this is the emotions go a-flying soon.
The firefall took place up on Glacier Point, but it was seen by spectators down on the valley floor, specifically Camp Curry. Now, Camp Curry is itself a story. Established in 1899 by David and Jenny Curry, it was the center of park activity almost from the start. Among other things, the place was famous for its nighttime campfires and nature talks. It was also famous for its nighttime entertainment program, which took place on its outdoor stage. Now, these programs were popular enough on their own, but it was at the end of the program at exactly 9 o'clock that the firefall took place. Well, Camp Curry is still there and still going strong, and the old outdoor stage is still there too, a reminder of earlier firefall days.
All right, so yeah, the firefall being pushed down is cool and all, but seeing it from the ground, I think that was the main thing down at Cam Curry. So that's where we are now. I think Camp Curry is still there or not. I honestly don't remember.
It's not. I think it's it's not named Camp Curry anymore.
That sounds right.
It's Yosemite Village or...
That's it. Yeah. Because that's where the main everything is now. This seemed like a...
Sorry, yeah, Curry Village. No, it's actually Half Dome Village, previously called Curry Village and Camp Curry.
There you go.
So it's a...
You know what? Yeah, I remember that because we went over there because that's where they sold pizza, and we were like starving, and pizza was closed.
Cool.
So we ate chips and ice cream from the convenience store.
Such a terrible
It
experience.
was really bad. I mean, overall, it was bad, but there were some. It was still cool to see some things. Then we meet Ginny and Keith B. Keith and Ginny B.
Just the happiest couple.
Yeah. Were the entertainers for 18 summers at Camp Curry.
So I'm going to say something that our listeners might not get, or some from Bakersfield or Kern County will get.
Uh-huh.
But I'm going to say that they were the rhythm of the valley.
Okay. Was that KKXX's thing?
No, it's 94.1.
Oh,
Kiss. Wait, is that Kiss?
it was. It
Hot
might
94.1.
Hot 94.1, yeah. Rhythm. Okay. Oh man.
Okay, so we get to meet Virginia and Keith B. But he was known in the industry as Glenn.
Yeah.
So they both went by, well, yeah.
So if I want to say a name that you probably don't know that this guy looks like, he looks like Shelley Berman.
Okay.
Shelley Berman was a comedian. He, I guess most notably, more recently, R.I.P. him, he played Larry David's dad in Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he's like a comedian from the 50s, like long-time comedian.
No, this guy's great. This couple's great, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of not being with us, both of them aren't. Yeah. But here's the thing. Jenny lived to be 99 years old.
Yikes.
She passed away in 2018. So...
She could have heard our show.
What? That's true. That's crazy.
Poor lady, have to listen to this stupid show. Sorry, but I just imagine when you're 99, you're not want to listen to yahoos talk about a TV show. Anyway.
Oh man. And then Keith passed at 83 in 1999.
Okay,
but they were pretty awesome. Like Keith or Glenn, as they called him.
Yeah.
He played at was it Golden Gate Park?
Yeah.
Yeah. He played for Frank Sinatra, like 8 shows a day for a week. He got to play guitar.
That's so many shows.
And this guy was okay. If he was at my high school, so he was in music education,
mm-hmm.
would be the coolest teacher, I think. I mean, like you meet him for a few minutes. I don't know, but he also taught guitar and advanced guitar at Diablo Valley College. So
this guy, man,
I know.
He was. I mean, and you mentioned earlier that he played on all these radio stations. Like back in the day, you're playing on the radio station live. This isn't like they're playing your record.
True, huh? Yeah.
So it was. That's crazy that this guy kind of went through the whole gamut of entertainment of the day, plus did Yosemite every summer for 18 years. Him and his wife, what's her Ginny?
Yep.
So they're cool. Definitely led a good life. But I think the star guest of this episode, personally, is old Billy Lane.
Bill Lane he's a celebrity.
Yeah. He shows up about 17 minutes, and he was, I guess, the other fire caller, at least for part of the time. The 30s and 40s. Like, imagine Nick up top, "Hey, Camp Curry," and then the other guy would be Billy yelling back up at him. I thought, like, okay, that's a celebrity enough, and then you blew my mind earlier telling me about everything else this fool did.
Well, how about we just take Kevin Starr's word for it?
Eminent California State Librarian, California State Historian Emeritus, R.I.P. Kevin Starr. What did he have to say?
So he says, for the second half of the 20th century, Bill Lane was a very important value maker and taste maker for the American West.
Value maker, taste maker.
Okay, so the question would be, all right, how did he do that?
Yeah.
So from 1959 to 1990, Bill Lane published Sunset Magazine.
My mom subscribed to Sunset Magazine for probably 10 years of my childhood. I saw it every month.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So, Star goes on. Okay, and says he helped people appreciate the beauty of California. He encouraged ordinary Americans to live well. So then it goes back into the history of Sunset Magazine. It had been in the family since 1928 when his pops bought it. Pops, they're from Iowa.
Yeah.
Bought it. And something I didn't know, he paid $60,000 for the tourist-oriented publication. That's not the interesting fact. The interesting fact is that it was created by the Southern Pacific Railroad. Something I didn't.
That makes sense.
It kind of sounds vaguely, right? Like I couldn't recall this fact, though, but it does make sense.
Well, I know that like any organization that is in the tourism game or even transportation game really benefits from that because I'm a AAA member. Are you a AAA member? Yeah. And what comes with our AAA membership? Westways magazine.
Yeah, that's true.
And I never thought I'd really care much about that magazine, but I've like gotten good trip tips.
I thought you were asking about like the services. Well, they
you can get free towing within 7 miles. No, no, the magazine. Yeah, so it totally makes sense.
Yeah.
As far as Bill in Yosemite, though, I got the sense that he kind of was downplaying his whole part in this a little bit because when Huell's asking what he's doing or what he did exactly, all he did was talk about those sisters who were singing and everything, and then he mentioned that he would stay like way over on stage right to do his call, and they would like pull the spotlight away so that he wasn't even in the spotlight at all, and he would do his calling like in the dark. And it's like, according to Nick and Keith, the Firefall was the main attraction of the whole park during those like 100 years. This was like the thing. Now, okay, I want to use that clip of him yelling.
Yeah.
It's almost inaudible. Maybe I'll just tack it on at the end or something, just so you can see how insanely loud Bill was reenacting this thing.
Probably should put it now. Let's put it now because
All right.
it bleeds into. We probably should play the clip. Yeah, we should hear him.
Okay, let's hear it.
Hello! Ricochet around. Glacier! Then the return call would be hello, Camp Curry, or sometimes just hello, Curry. Let the fire fall!
Okay. It's so intense and so just like this guy is reliving this so hard.
Dude, it's so hard. So this is the thing too is Bill, as far as we understand it on our brief little research we did here,
Yeah.
this wasn't just the thing he started doing. I'll just be the fire caller. No. This wasn't the only thing he did.
Mm-hmm.
This man loved Yosemite his entire life.
To the bone death.
Check this out. When he was 16, he started working summers in Yosemite Valley. His first job was packing supply for mule trains.
Okay.
It's kind of what Huell was doing a little bit.
Oh, yeah, full circle to the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, so he ended up giving, what is this, $130,000 to the Yosemite Fund in 2007 to purchase, what is this, a Yosemite guest ledger? I'm guessing. What?
It's like a guest book.
Yeah.
I
So
saw
it's
those in the museum there, yeah.
You know, what? 130,000. So anyways, that's cool.
I assume that it's like part of an auction, so he
Yeah.
probably paid more than it's even maybe worth just so that the money goes to everything.
So this man, he was dedicated, let's just say,
Big time.
to Yosemite. And now, if you wanted to, I just searched his name, and there is a citizen memorial placard on a rock.
Oh, yeah, you showed me that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just obviously he was one of those big proponent bros who, I guess probably the most famous Yosemite proponent is Ansel Adams with all his photography and everything. I mean, there's the Ansel Adams photography gallery in Yosemite itself. Speaking of, you know who Ansel Adams is, right? I'm just saying that name, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
At the place, the gallery there, it's like all his prints, a couple other photographers' prints, but mostly his. And there were like small ones, 30, 40, 50 bucks, whatever. And they're just, recreations, prints on fancy paper. Okay, now there are real deal, like, I don't know photography jargon, but like real deal prints printed on like silver paper or something crazy that are giant and incredibly detailed and super cool to look at.
How much are we talking?
I don't remember exactly, but it was definitely in the 4 to 5 figure range.
Oh.
And people were buying these things like they were Dr. Peppers. Oh yeah, you wrap that one up for me? All right, cool.
That's crazy.
We had like maybe $40 in cash with us for the trip. These people are going nuts on these things. Obviously, they probably knew ahead of time. This is where you get these. This is how you get them. We're saving up, or they're just
that's
rich or
crazy.
something.
Oh, I was sorry, and I was a little absent-minded there because I was following up with this whole placard, Bill's placard on a rock.
You pulled it up.
It says, in recognition of a lifetime of achievement, this amphitheater is dedicated to Bill Lane.
Huh.
So
it's the whole thing. It's not just this little plaque.
yeah, I guess so. I mean,
Wow.
they called him
Bill.
a publisher, which is, understatement.
True. Yeah.
Statesman, philanthropist, champion of the national parks. So there you go.
Good on you, Bill. R.I.P. Wait, he did die, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super.
I don't think we mentioned that. So Bill does his yell. You heard his yell. And then he throws it to Tom Bop.
Dude, what a name.
Tom
Is this a stage name?
Bop. I mean, Keith, what's his name? Keith B. He had a stage name, so I'm guessing so.
True.
He'll ask him as the music historian at Yosemite, and then he kind of scoffs at that. What song would be played as the fire fell? And he said they would play a little song like this. And then he plays the song, but he never says what it's called. And then it's the whole dang song. Like it's 2 minutes of him.
So we hear, okay, so he plays us a little T-bop.
Okay. Yeah.
So it ends up being from the Lindemann sisters.
Who were the sisters who played that stage they're on?
Yeah. Are you familiar with the Lindemann? I don't know
No.
much about them. Okay.
I think they were just kind of specific to Yosemite, it seemed, in the show here.
Which I found a website. It's called Yosemite Valley Music. It's an entire website dedicated to it. So anyone interested can shoot on over there.
Then it gets a little heavy, right?
It does, and that's why I was trying to set it up with Bill isn't just in the dark yelling.
No.
Right? He likes Yosemite a little bit.
A lot of it. Because he's kind of explaining how, as the crescendo of this song that Tommy Bop is playing kind of hits, you could start to hear people getting emotional and even crying. And as he's talking about that, he starts crying. And because of that, Huell starts crying. Like, not full tears, but
It's like
I'm getting emotional, like, hearing about it. And you can hear that, like, catch in his voice for a second.
and there's a lot of emotions because first, okay, T-Bop's playing his jam, and his face. People that are really into music, you can laugh. Mm-hmm. The faces are funny, so I'm laughing a little bit. Oh, that's kind of a silly face he's making, but he's obviously great at piano and singing. So I'm laughing, and then they start crying.
Yeah,
and then I don't know how you are, but when Huell's not an old man, but Bill, he's a little up there.
Every time.
Old men crying?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Not even it's them holding it back. I think
it's that whole
Yeah. Totally. Like, I totally get it. And obviously the super nostalgia, because he hadn't done this since like the 40s. And this is the 90s. It's like 50 years later. I'm sure he'd been to Yosemite countless times. I mean, he's like all up in it, but you know, telling that story probably got him good.
Yeah.
And Huell, okay, he rarely shows emotions other than happiness and excitement on this show.
Yeah. Well, you know, it does remind me of something.
What's that?
You know the episode when on Frasier? It'll make sense.
Okay.
When Martin buys Frasier a gift, that, you know, that painting out of the restaurant, because Frasier wants to eat there, and he feigns interest in something, and Martin just wants to buy him a gift because he never gets to buy him a gift. Mm-hmm. He buys it for him. He doesn't want it. Yeah. The whole episode is Frasier trying to tell his dad he didn't want it.
Yeah.
But Niles easily told him. So he's like, oh, I'll tell him. Anyways, makes him cry. So, this is a long story, but it's a good episode, by the way. But Martin starts crying. Frasier starts crying. Mm-hmm. Niles walks in the room, and he says, why is everyone crying? That's how I felt.
Yeah.
When you watch that.
I totally know what you're talking about, yeah.
Why are we crying right now?
Yeah.
Anyways, and then Niles starts crying. So.
Oh, man. So, yeah, Bill is reminiscing about a thing that doesn't happen anymore. And we cut back to Glacier Point. Obviously, this is filmed from earlier because it's like the same bystanders in the back. But Dick is explaining why they stopped, which had nothing to do with throwing fire down a cliff. It was traffic.
This is what I didn't care for, though. I mean...
Well, I guess that's just the reality of it. He's not building it up into this big narrative, but
so, like I said, this is just me, maybe. Mm-hmm. But he said, "Oh, Yosemite is too popular, so we should close this down."
Well, okay.
So that's the start, right? So that because he gives two arguments for it. First one, to me, you know, I studied economics. You just charge for it, right?
Yeah,
that's how you.
Yeah.
You eliminate this. So. Which, like Elsinore just had to deal with this with
the poppies.
With the poppies, yeah. Mm-hmm. But I think that's the ostensible reason. That's just what they give people. I think the real reason's the second reason, the argument that he gives, is that this is a man-made spectacle, and Yosemite doesn't need it. I think that's the deeper, like, fundamental
I think you're right.
Objection
because
to it.
Yosemite had been popular for years, like almost since day one, since it became a national park, and I'm getting all this information from that Ken Burns documentary series. Yosemite has always been popular, but Yosemite also has not always been a place where people are experiencing nature only. There have been, like, as you see, like, why did they need concerts here? Why did they need all this stuff? Like, there's always been this weird kind of development in Yosemite, at least decades and decades ago. And then there was that point probably in the 60s where they're like, no, just the place itself is enough.
Yeah.
And like when you watch if you ever do watch that documentary series, the Yosemite stuff, you see like all the kind of weird stuff they were doing. And they had to like keep people from building buildings and houses down in the valley, which like it's unfathomable now. That you would just go and start building a house in Yosemite.
So I think that should be how you lead, because it's very easy to solve the too many people want to come here problem. That's not a problem.
There's a little throwaway he said in there where there are also thieves who would go and ransack hotel rooms because everyone would go out to go look at the thing. Like, again, that seems like an easy fix with some security, but
to me, I think is just lead with it, right? Like, hey, you know what? This doesn't fit. The reason why, because you asked me if I liked this. And I liked it because there was community built around it, and it became a tradition.
Huh?
And they figured out a way to do it safely.
Somehow.
Right?
They don't tell us how, but they did.
I mean, people could be skeptical of that, but they figured it out for 100 years. And when they started doing this, it wasn't a national park. Right? This was private land. This is someone purchased this and put on, this show or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, that's all I got.
I agree.
Pretty straightforward. I mean,
Yeah.
It depends how you feel about that. If you think Yosemite should be, untarnished with human community, then
it's a weird thing, like having just gone, because you can't just have it be. And this also can tie into the whole government shutdown that happened and how things like really went kind of haywire in some of these national parks. Because there was what's that thing, that tragedy of the commons you have talked about, where because no one owns it, no one has finds like the value in it personally, and that's why like they were like these idiots were knocking down 100-year-old or many hundreds of years old Joshua trees.
Yeah,
like why did you do that?
Just to do
it's just because you could.
Yeah,
and Yosemite was like piling up in trash and all this stuff, and obviously there'd have to be like huge changes to make any of these kind of like conceptual things that you talk about actually happen. But as it stands, it being a national park, it's odd because there are so many people in it and there have to be so many services for these people that at times it's weird. Like, for example, they have a bus system to get you around because Yosemite is kind of a big place. It's little, but it's also it's hard to walk around. That bus system is a joke.
It's no good?
No, because there's maybe like 4 of them because they don't want to just have like 50 buses slamming around there all the time. But when there's a ton of people, which there were, you end up waiting an hour for a bus, and then you're crammed on with all these sweaty, dirty people, like trying to just get to their campground or whatever. And it was just one of those like unfortunate parts.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
That's why I like going at an odd time. Like, if you go in the winter, it's going to look so cool with the snow, but you freeze
a bit chilly.
Freeze yourself to death, yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a tension there of how much, because it's not like people go there and do what's the type of camping where you have to pack in, pack out?
That's what it is.
It's that type of camping. So like people obviously don't want to do that all the time, right? They want
very small population of campers actually do anything like that.
I want to look at this through a conditioned room.
Yeah.
Or something, right? I mean, so yeah. Anyways, but that's is what it is. So
yeah.
But I think it's an interesting, at least, discussion. But.
Well, this whole thing kind of ends on the new Firefall, and this is probably the Firefall that a lot of people now hear about. And when we talk about the Firefall in Yosemite, this is probably what people thought we were going to be talking about on this episode, but this is like a newer phenomenon, it seemed. And like, did you know about this thing? The Horsetail Falls?
From you, yeah.
Okay. Every year when it happens, there's kind of like a new little news buzz that happens about it. I've never seen it, and I don't even know if I really want to. Like, the pictures and videos that people do are good enough to me. Mm-hmm. But basically, Horsetail Falls, which is one of the many waterfalls there, there's one point in the summer or like fall or something where the sun hits it at this perfect angle where it's refracting through the water and it looks like fire falling. Well, it's like
orange water,
yeah. But honestly, that's way cooler to me.
That's way cooler to you? The orange water?
The fact that, because think about how that's just happenstance. It's just that's waterfall true. Happens to have eroded in this perfect way, and someone was in the perfect spot one day and noticed it. Mm-hmm. And it only lasts for like, what I think it said 2 weeks. It's like it lasts for a few minutes every evening for 2 weeks. And it's just one of those things that like quickly happens and then it's gone like a sunset.
You put it that way, it makes me want to see it.
Yeah.
But I'll say that I've noticed that this Firefall doesn't have the same problem of, an excess number of people going to see it, or
there are a lot of people who go, but because it's just this fleeting moment,
mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the same kind of deal. Right. I don't know. I know that it's an uptick in like attendance to the park.
Okay.
Speaking of attendance to the park, I just remember this. When we went to Yosemite, we left super early when the park was technically not open, like the valley floor. But the Yosemite National Park is more than just the valley. It's this big old hunk of land, and you pay at a gate like an hour before you get to the valley floor if you're coming from the east. We got there, and they're like, hey, we're not open yet. Just pay on your way out. Okay. We go in. We do the whole, oh, this is smoky. This kind of sucks. Let's go early. And when we went back through, there was just no ranger. So we got him for free. So there's that, at least. And it's only like $20, but still.
Still, yeah.
It's something. So when are we going?
Whenever you want.
I got the day off today. You want to go?
Let's go.
All right.
Let's get out of here.
Okay. Before we go, where are we going next week?
You know where we're going next week.
I do.
We're going to...
The Neat Houses.
That's right.
It's such a funny name. What's the first place? I forget.
The mansion.
Oh,
right?
The old governor's mansion in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a cool episode or cool segment because Jerry Brown's sister does the tour. Because she talks about it from the perspective of when their dad, what was his?
Edmund?
Yeah. When he was governor in the whatever time he was, we definitely got some research to do on this one. She lived there as a teenager, and she tells about it from Pat Brown. Yeah. She tells about it from the perspective of a teen girl growing up in this fancy mansion. Jerry Brown was already, I think, beginning his lawyer career, so he didn't live there full time, but he would be coming there. And then he kind of famously didn't live there, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was his primary residence, because I remember
Probably still had to go there for
because we'll talk about
governor
this
things.
more. But basically, we were eating at a nice sushi restaurant in Sacramento.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, JB's, whatever penthouse, whatever loft thing is.
So he just lived in an apartment above a sushi place.
That's just,
That's
I never saw him, but that's what people said.
Maybe old Gavin's hanging out there now.
Well, Gav,
we'll see.
Maybe he does. Do you think he still?
You think he lives in San Francisco?
I think he lives in San Francisco.
Probably most of the time. Who knows?
Right.
We got research to do.
We do.
Need to do that next week.
We'll do that by next week.
The second part is a hermit's cabin that is it's in Tulare County. It's right near here, but it's part of a student learning program called SciCon, and it's like we've talked about Camp Keep that's the Kern environmental education program that we've both went to for Kern County. Tulare's was SciCon, and one of my friends went there the same year Huell was there. I'm going to try and get her to be on the show. We'll see. We always try and get people to be on the show, and they get all nervous and don't want to do it. But it seems like a good one.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Well, let's get to it. Come along with us next week and every week as we continue our search for HUELL'S Gold.